Hello and welcome to the Dinar Daily, your source for clear, factual information. Today, we are focusing on a question many people are asking across the United States in 2025. You may be one of the thousands of Americans currently holding physical notes of Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong, and you're now wondering about the practical steps to convert them into US dollars. It's a common query, and for many, the process has been a source of significant confusion. Many individuals are encountering the unexpected reality that this isn't a simple matter of walking into any local financial institution and making a request. The journey to exchange these specific currencies involves navigating a landscape that is very different from that of more common currencies like the euro or the British pound today. We are providing a complete 2025 update, breaking down the entire process. We will cover every detail, explore every available option, and lay out the steps you need to be aware of. The first reality many holders encounter, often with some surprise, is that the vast majority of major, household name U.S. banks do not handle direct, over-the-counter exchanges for either the Iraqi dinar or the Vietnamese dong at their standard retail branches. This includes institutions like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Chase. Walking into your local neighborhood branch will, in most cases, result in being turned away. This can be a point of frustration for individuals who have held these currencies, as they are indeed legitimate notes issued by their respective nations. The reason for this policy is that these currencies are classified by the wider financial industry as exotic. They fall outside the scope of most banks' regular, high-volume foreign exchange programs, which are typically reserved for currencies with high global trade volumes. This initial hurdle, however, does not mean that you are without options. It simply means that the process requires more specific knowledge and preparation. The landscape for currency exchange in the United States has evolved, and several trusted, legal, and verifiable paths now exist for those looking to convert these specific notes safely. Your opportunity to turn those bills into US dollars is achievable, but it requires knowing precisely where to go and what to expect. These avenues range from highly specialized departments within certain major banks to dedicated currency exchange businesses that are built specifically for this purpose. By the end of this report, you will have a complete roadmap that can save you both time and money, allowing you to navigate this process with a clear understanding of the 2025 environment. At number 5 on our list, we begin with a limited option at Wells Fargo, specifically through their dedicated international banking centers. It is crucial to understand that this does not apply to the vast network of regular Wells Fargo branches. Those locations will almost certainly not handle these currencies. These specialized centers are select locations, typically found in major international hub cities such as New York City, Los Angeles, and Chicago, which are equipped to handle more complex global financial transactions. For individuals who have access to these specific metropolitan areas, this presents a potential avenue for exchange, though it is one that requires significant advanced preparation and cannot be approached casually. The key to navigating the Wells Fargo option is preparation. You cannot simply walk into one of these international centers and expect an immediate transaction. The first and most critical step is to call that specific branch ahead of time. You must speak with a representative and explicitly confirm two things. First, that they handle exotic currencies, and second, that they are currently processing the Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong. Policies can change, and verification is essential. If they confirm, you will be required to bring a valid government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license or a U.S. passport. You will then fill out a short form. The bank will verify the current rate they can offer, and they will process the transaction. Wells Fargo typically charges a service fee, often between $15 and $30, and some exchanges can take several business days to fully process and credit. It is not an instant process, but for those who prefer the security of a major bank, it remains an option. Now, let's move to number 4 on our list, which involves Bank of America's International Services Division. This operates under a very similar principle to the Wells Fargo option. The vast majority of local Bank of America branches will not be able to assist you with dinar or dong. However, Bank of America does operate specialized international banking centers, located primarily in large U.S. cities, that are designated to deal with what is termed exotic currency exchange. These specialized centers have the systems and compliance frameworks in place to handle currencies that are not part of the standard retail exchange market. This avenue is often most accessible to individuals who are already existing Bank of America customers. If you are a Bank of America customer, you will likely have a smoother experience navigating this process. Some of these specialized locations may have additional requirements, such as a minimum account balance or an established banking relationship to access this specific service. You will almost certainly need to speak directly with their International Services Department, which has contact details that are separate from the regular customer service line you might find on the back of your debit card. Be prepared for a potential waiting period of up to 2 weeks for the transaction to be fully finalized, and you should also anticipate potential higher service fees. Despite these hurdles, Bank of America's global network ensures that any exchange they agree to process is handled professionally and in full compliance with all U.S. financial regulations. Coming in at number 3, we find a highly specialized option, Chase Bank's private banking network. This is a very important distinction, as Chase does not openly advertise or offer foreign currency exchange for the Iraqi dinar or Vietnamese dong through any of its standard retail branches. This option is not accessible to the general public or standard Chase account holders. Instead, it is a service that may be available exclusively to their high net worth clients, who are part of the Chase Private Client or Private Banking Network. These are specialized divisions designed to provide bespoke financial services to clients with substantial assets managed by the bank. For individuals who hold a significant, established banking relationship with Chase and have an assigned private banker, it is worth initiating a conversation about their exotic currency exchange options. In many of these cases, Chase itself may not handle the physical currency directly. Instead, they often collaborate with trusted, third-party institutional exchange providers who manage the entire process securely and discreetly on the client's behalf. This arrangement acts as a secure conduit for the transaction. While this path is clearly not available to everyone, for those who are within the Chase private client ecosystem, it can represent one of the safest and most confidential methods for exchanging larger amounts of dinar or dong in 2025. Now, let's look at number 2 on our list, an area where many individuals are reporting unexpected success: credit unions and local community banks. This category represents a significant shift from the large multinational banking institutions. Smaller institutions often operate with a different business model, one that can allow for more flexibility and highly personalized service when compared to the rigid, automated policies of their larger counterparts. While a major bank's computer system might automatically decline a request for an exotic currency, a manager at a local credit union might be willing to explore the possibility for a long-standing member. Some credit unions, such as Navy Federal Credit Union and USAA, have, in the past, assisted members with exchanging various foreign currencies, though these policies are always subject to change and depend heavily on their internal rules and the networks they have access to. The real potential often lies with local community banks. This is particularly true in geographic areas of the United States that have large or well-established Middle Eastern or Asian populations. These banks are often more attuned to the specific financial needs of their community members and may have established procedures or partnerships to accommodate these types of requests. The key here is direct communication. You must call ahead, explain clearly what currencies you hold, and ask if they can either process the exchange themselves or, just as importantly, connect you with a trusted partner they use for such services. And finally, at number 1, we have what are known as currency exchange specialists. In 2025, these companies represent the most reliable, accessible, and straightforward option for the vast majority of people. These are businesses such as Travelex and Currency Exchange International, CXI, whose entire operation is focused exclusively on foreign currency transactions. Unlike banks, which treat foreign exchange as a secondary service, this is their primary business. They are fully licensed, highly regulated, and specialize in handling a wide array of currencies, including exotic ones like the Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong. You can find their physical offices in many major U.S. airports, large shopping centers, and financial districts across the country. The advantages of using a specialist are numerous. Their entire system, from technology to compliance, is built specifically to handle these exact types of exchanges. This translates into much faster processing times, with many locations offering same-day on-the-spot service. Because this is their core business, their rates are often more competitive than what a bank's specialized department might offer, and they generally have fewer restrictions. Some of these specialists even offer online services where you can reserve your exchange rate before you visit their branch. They do charge a transaction fee, but for most people watching, this path will be the easiest and most efficient way to complete an exchange in 2025. But what about individuals who do not live near a major city or cannot easily travel to one of these dedicated currency exchange centers? This is a common situation, and fortunately, the internet has provided a new set of solutions. Several online currency exchange companies now operate securely across the United States, allowing you to complete the entire process from the comfort of your own home. Services such as Currency Liquidator and Great American Coin Company are examples of businesses that will accept Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong through insured mail. The process is straightforward but requires diligence and a high degree of trust. Typically, the online process begins with you creating an account on their secure website and getting a quote for the amount of currency you hold. If you accept the quote, you are then responsible for shipping your currency to them. It is absolutely critical that you use a trackable and fully insured shipping method, such as those offered by FedEx, UPS, or the U.S. Postal Service, to protect your assets during transit. Once the company receives and verifies the notes, they will finalize the exchange and send your U.S. dollars via a direct bank transfer or a company check. While this method is convenient, it is imperative to verify the legitimacy of any company before sending them anything of value. Before you mail anything, you must conduct thorough research. Look for strong, verifiable customer reviews on independent platforms, not just testimonials on their own website. A legitimate company will have clear, easily accessible contact information, including a physical U.S. address and a working customer service phone number. A transparent and clearly stated fee structure is also a sign of a reputable service. If a company is vague about its fees, location, or process, you should treat that as a major red flag and look elsewhere. A few minutes spent verifying a company's credentials and reputation can save you from a potentially significant loss. Speaking of fees, let's take a dedicated look at what you can realistically expect to pay in 2025. It is important to set correct expectations. The fees for exchanging Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong tend to be noticeably higher than those for common, high-volume currencies like the euro or the Japanese yen. This is due to the exotic classification, which means they are less liquid, harder to trade on the global market, and require more specialized handling. Banks that do offer this service, often through their specialized departments, may charge fees that can range from 5% to as high as 15% of the total exchange amount. In addition to the percentage-based fee, some institutions also add a flat handling fee for the transaction, which can be anywhere from $15 to $30. This flat fee is for the service itself, regardless of the amount being exchanged. Currency exchange specialists, on the other hand, usually have lower overall fees as they operate on higher volume, and this is their core business. However, these specialists may apply minimum transaction amounts, meaning they might not be willing to process very small exchanges. Online services might appear cheaper at first glance, but you must always factor in the additional cost of secure, insured shipping, which can be substantial. Now, we must discuss the golden rule of any currency exchange. This rule is simple. Never look at just the advertised exchange rate. The rate is only one part of a larger equation. A company might offer what seems like a fantastic rate, only to charge an extremely high percentage fee on the back end. The only way to know if you're getting a good deal is to calculate your total return. You must ask the provider, if I give you this many dinar or this much dong, exactly how many US dollars will I receive in my hand or in my bank account after all fees, commissions, and charges are deducted? This final net amount is the only number that matters and the only way to accurately compare offers. Let's also take a moment to discuss the reality of the exchange rates themselves. Many people can become confused after seeing high exchange rate predictions or differing values on various websites. The truth is that both the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong are not freely traded currencies on the major international markets in the same way the dollar or the pound is. This means that their exchange rates are not set by a single global standard and can vary widely from one provider to another. The rates you see on Google or major Forex websites are typically mid-market rates, which are not available to retail consumers. The rate you will actually receive from a bank or exchange specialist will be a retail rate, which includes a spread or markup that allows the provider to make a profit. This is why it is so critically important to contact multiple providers before you commit to any exchange. Do not rely on a single source. Request written quotes from at least 3 different legitimate services. Ask them to clearly state the exchange rate they are offering, a complete list of all fees up front, and the final net amount you will receive. This comparative shopping is the best way to ensure you are getting a fair transaction. Legitimate services will always provide transparent pricing and clear conversion terms. Documentation is another crucial part of this process that you must be prepared for. Whether you are using a specialized bank branch, a local credit union, an online service, or a physical exchange specialist, you will be required to verify your identity. This is not an optional step, it is a legal requirement. A valid, unexpired, government-issued photo ID, such as a passport or a driver's license, is required almost everywhere in the United States to conduct a currency exchange transaction. You should have this ready before you even begin the process. Furthermore, for larger amounts of currency, some services may also ask for proof of how you obtained the currency in the first place. This is not to be difficult. It is a standard part of international anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC, laws. These regulations are in place to prevent illicit financial activity and are there to protect both you and the financial institution. Having your original purchase receipt, an invoice from the seller, or an online transaction confirmation can make this process much faster. We strongly recommend keeping all your currency purchase records in a safe and accessible place, as they can significantly smooth your exchange transaction. Now, we must also talk about something equally important: how to avoid scams. Unfortunately, the world of exotic currency exchange has, for years, attracted a number of fraudulent operators. You may encounter websites, social media groups, or individuals who make unbelievable claims. They might offer exchange rates that are dramatically higher than any legitimate provider or claim to have inside knowledge. These are major red flags. If any company or person pressures you to act quickly, demands unusual payment methods, or refuses to show clear, transparent exchange procedures and licensing, you should stay away. The safest and most secure route is to use established, licensed currency exchange providers. Look for businesses that have physical brick-and-mortar offices you can visit, or online companies with strong, verifiable reputations. Always check for reviews on independent platforms like the Better Business Bureau or Trustpilot. Verify that the business has a verifiable physical address and a working customer support line. A few minutes of basic research to confirm that you are dealing with a legitimate, registered, and regulated business could save you from losing your currency entirely. Your financial safety must always be the top priority. So, what is the best step-by-step plan to exchange your currency safely and efficiently in 2025? It begins with research. Start by identifying at least 3 potential exchange options that are accessible to you. This could be one specialized bank, one local credit union, and one currency specialist. Contact each of them directly, either by phone or by visiting in person. Ask them for a complete quote, including the exchange rate, all fees, and the estimated timeline to receive your US dollars. Once you have these quotes, you can accurately compare your total return from each. Next, after you have selected the best option, take the time to verify the legitimacy of that service through online reviews and business directories, especially if it's an online or mail-in company. Then gather all your necessary documents. This includes your valid government ID, your proof of currency purchase if you have it, and any other paperwork the service may have requested, such as an account number for a direct deposit. If you are mailing your currency, we must reiterate that you should only use an insured, trackable shipping method. Finally, get every detail of your exchange agreement in writing, including the locked-in rate and the processing time. Before you hand over your currency, some individuals often wonder about the timing of an exchange. Considering that currency values fluctuate, it's important to note that the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong are classified as relatively stable, low-value currencies. Monitoring exchange rate trends can still be useful. You can track the retail rates offered by specialists over several weeks to get a sense of whether they are moving up or down. This can help you time your transaction within a window that you are comfortable with. However, the primary focus for most holders in 2025 is finding the most efficient and legitimate way to conduct an exchange. For people who live in communities with strong, established cultural ties to Iraq or Vietnam, there may be additional local opportunities. In U.S. cities like Dearborn, Michigan, or Houston, Texas, for example, local Middle Eastern and Vietnamese business districts often include small, independent financial service offices that handle currency exchange specific to their community. These local businesses can sometimes offer more favorable rates due to their direct connections and lower overhead. However, the same rules of caution apply. You must always confirm that the service is properly licensed and follows all state and federal financial regulations. Never exchange currency through an unverified individual or a shop that is not a registered financial service. If a business operates only in cash, cannot provide written receipts, or does not require ID verification, you should walk away immediately. Any legitimate business will be following these procedures as a standard part of their operation. Your safety and the legal protection of your transaction must always come first. Using a licensed and regulated entity is the only way to ensure you are protected. When it comes to the strategy of exchanging, some financial experts recommend an approach known as dollar cost averaging, which can be applied here. This simply means exchanging your currency in smaller batches over a period of time, rather than converting everything you hold all at once. For example, you might exchange a portion now, another portion in a few months, and a final portion later in the year. This approach helps you reduce the risk of a sudden, unfavorable rate change impacting your entire holdings at one time. It's a steady, practical approach that provides flexibility in a market that can be unpredictable before an exchange. Industry in 2025 is more digital, more regulated, and in many ways more accessible than it has ever been, but only for those who know where to look. The key is knowing which doors to knock on, what to expect when you get there, and how to protect yourself throughout the process. Remember, major banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America may only offer assistance through very specific non-retail departments or private banking services. Your local credit union or community bank might be a hidden gem of flexibility. And for the majority of people, professional currency exchange specialists and verified online services remain the best and most reliable overall options. So, there you have it. That is the complete 2025 roadmap to the top places to exchange Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong right here in the United States. We've covered the full landscape, from the limited options at major banks to the flexibility of community credit unions, and from the reliability of specialist firms, the convenience of online exchange platforms. The process might require more preparation than exchanging a common currency, But with the right information and the correct, cautious steps, it is completely achievable. By comparing rates, verifying the legitimacy of every provider, and keeping all your documentation in order, you can navigate this process with full confidence this year.